My name is James Breslin. I live here, Carrick-Quigley, Redcastle, Inishowen Peninsula. I've been farming here all my life. I run a sheep and suckler farm, a few Galloways in the mountain. Sheep is a mix of lowland and hill flock. So it's a lot of it's marginal, mountainy land. I have a few trees, I have some what I call greenland, it's better land. They're about 150 hectares, some of it's commonage. I am trying to change the way that the farm has been run here for a number of years. You know, we've been led to produce more and grow more grass to feed more stock, but now I'm trying to cut back on fertilizers, and I've put on a few shelter belts and planted a few trees and put on a few ponds. The mountains was destocked back a number of years ago, and now some of them's got out of control and they're a fire hazard. And so some of the cattle's back, the Galloways is back on the mountain again, and to try and bring it back under control. This here is a field of red clover that I've sown last year. That's a very high protein crop, and it's going to stop me from buying concentrates that I normally would have to buy, and it's going to stop me buying fertilizer that I would normally have to buy. So should be a 1-1 situation for the environment and for me. I hope to fatten cattle on it this winter. You know, I have a crop taken off it, and there'll be another crop taken off it in 3 weeks or a month's time. So as you can see, it's coming very well. There's a lot of clover there. No, last year I had a few bales, but not too many, but I done a trial. I weighed some and gave them the red clover, and I weighed others, and they just got ordinary silage, and there was big weight gain difference in the ones that got the red clover. Stopping using concentrates is a big winner, because the cost of them's got too high, and the carbon footprint they leave behind has been talked about more and more. That's the story with the red clover. This is one of the ponds. There's not as much water on it now as there were. Things have dried up a bit, but I think it's still doing its job. You can see there's flies and there's frogs, and round behind it we have our green barn. These were planted last year as well, and they're doing very well. So hopefully in 5 or 6 years' time, or 5 maybe, we'll be fit to open up and let the stock in there, and it'll be a shelter belt for them. It'll be a greenhouse for them that they'll be fit to stay there in the winter and the early spring when the weather's rough around here. For lambing and calving, things like that. That's what it's going to be used for. There's another pond that was dug out, but it's more of a silt trap, I think, than a pond. As you can see, there's a lot of silt there now that otherwise would have been on downstream and would end up in the foil. For flood mitigation and everything, I think these definitely slow the water down. And when there's heavy rain, you fill the ponds before it goes on downstream, I think if there were more of them, it would help. Now here we have planted a few native trees again. This was very exposed up here in the winter time, so again this will be another kind of a smaller green barn. It'll be open to all sides and let the stock on early spring, winter time, for shelter. There were ditches here years ago and they were taken away, but we were advised to make our fields bigger and more productive. But I think we've learned it's not just answer, the shelter's as important as anything else. Here we have the diverse sward. We have a mixture of grasses and clovers, lagoons, and there's chicory, plantain, clover, and there's some grass. It seems to be a very good feed. The stock like it, they do well on it. Again, I've trialled sheep on this and lambs last year on this and on good aftergrass, and they done better on this than they done aftergrass. They put on more weight. Plus it cuts down a lot of dosing and no fertilizer, which is again a 1-1. This is just another green barn. The tree guards are here to protect the trees, but the stock can graze around the trees at the minute because the tree guards protecting them. So whenever they get big enough, the tree guards will break off and the trees will manage then on their own. Now they're native trees, they're a mixture, hazel, birch, round tree. There's a few oak here and there. The idea is shelter. That's a main idea. We're going to have a very sheltery place that stock can come and shelter around these trees in the summer and the winter. What I've done here, the shelter belts and the green barns and the ponds, the diverse sward, the clover, I hope that makes a big difference, and adds to what needs to be done, I think, in rural Ireland. you know, to keep it alive and protect the next generation so that they can farm it.